You're already trying to do the cheapest possible date option, and you can't even buy her a coffee? It screams stingy. And to me, that's like a bad way to start off. If you're looking for a provider and a man can't at the very least provide you with a meal on the first date, I just see it as a red flag. The man said, we're going to go Dutch on the first date. And if we have a good time, if I like you and all that, then I'll pay for the next date. Excuse me? Like, I gotta behave like some dog? Like, are you insane? No. When men start pulling out the hoops for you to jump through, don't ever do it.
Coffee dates don't make it easier for you. They make it easier for him to date multiple women.
Yes, sir. You just found it. Intercourse with you. Let's chat.
Welcome to the Intercourse Show. I am your host, Mr. B. Today, we have a very interesting reaction video for you. We are talking coffee dates. Apparently, it's not politically correct or socially correct to take women out on coffee dates anymore. In this video that we will analyze today, and there's a number of videos, there are a trend going on TikTok where a bunch of women are advising young women not to take, or just women in general, not to take coffee dates with men because they deem it as being cheap. They deem it as being unworthy of their time. And so therefore they think that a woman should not be taking coffee dates because they're worth so much more. So without any further ado, we will go ahead and get into this video. For those of you who are not connected, we ask that you like and subscribe to the page. I will also be joined by my panel. We have Vernick in the building today, and we will be discussing the no coffee date trend. Without any further ado, let's get right in.
They make it easier for him to date multiple women.
I feel like the kind of man that is inviting a woman out on a very first date at a coffee shop is a man who is either trying to be cheap or a man who is going out on several dates and he's trying to save money on those dates. And so he's trying to find the most cost-effective option for dating a woman. What I find really interesting is I've watched videos here on TikTok where some people are like, I went out on a coffee date, is that the dude, he arrives there early and he's like sitting down with his coffee when she comes in. And he's like, I'll sit here and save the spot. Like he won't even like get up and go buy her coffee. You're already trying to do the cheapest possible date option and you can't even buy her a coffee? It screams stingy. And to me, that's like a bad way to start off. If you're looking for a provider and a man can't at the very least provide you with a meal on the first date, I just see it as a red flag. I'm sure it could be different. He might have been used in the past. And y'all know how I feel about men always expecting you to pay for the sins of the other women. Like everybody has used me for a free meal, so now I got to make you get a coffee date. Like I hate that idea. And it's rare that a man goes from stingy in the beginning to all of a sudden he's generous. I feel the same way about men who want to come over to your place or want you to come over to theirs to cook for somebody on a first date. Like, we don't even know each other well enough. Why would I go into your home? Absolutely not. Like, it's always trying to be cheap. For the woman that he's truly interested in, he's going to go take her out, wine and dine her, and show her a good time. To me, the least amount of effort a man is willing to put in on a first date, that's how he really feels about you. In my opinion, I really believe that. Because if he can afford to take you out on a nice dinner and he doesn't, he gives you coffee, it's like him trying to like make you jump through hoops, make you prove yourself. I've also heard about this girl one time where she was talking about the man said, we're going to go Dutch on the first date. And if we have a good time, if I like you and all that, then I'll pay for the next date. Excuse me? Like, I got to behave like some dog? Like, are you insane? No. When men start pulling out the hoops for you to jump through, Don't ever do it.
Coffee dates don't make it easier for you. They make it easier for him to date multiple women. Oh, well, they just make it easy for me. You're making yourself easy to date for multiple men. Nobody's gonna want to date me if I don't go on coffee dates. That's the point. You're not for everybody. You're not supposed to be. You want to be appealing to the losers? Oh, but the dating experts say. Who said they were experts? Was it them or was it you? And since you started calling them experts, how many questions do you have in your mind every day? Wondering why you don't get text back or why they didn't hit you up before the date. Oh, but I'm making it so easy to date me. I'm just going out for coffee. And they still don't want to meet up with you? Yeah, that's because they're lamos. Lamos trying to spend the least amount of time and the least amount of effort just so that they can know that they are desirable. Because their self-worth is on the ground. And so is their budget. I will never condone a coffee date. I don't even condone drink dates. Oh, well, I'm just thinking about his time and his budget. His budget that is worth more than yours because as a man, societally, he gets paid more. And his time that he has more of because he's not doing hair, makeup, and shaving his legs. Oh, well, I just want to be worth meeting up. He spends all day fighting with men. Men insulting him, men assaulting him, men telling him what to do all day long, and men asking him for thousands of dollars, depending on what position he is, if he's not somebody's subordinate. It is a pleasure to be in front of a woman. A beautiful one who smells good, is friendly, and is giving her undevoted attention to him and potentially her womb, which is his future generations. Stop giving sympathy towards his time and energy when yours is worth more.
In my experience, I've found that men that often initiate with a coffee date, somewhere along the lines, I realize that he has a 50-50 mentality. Or let's say I didn't discover that he has a 50-50 mentality. I realized that he was not generous. Dealing with men that for some reason initiated or made the suggestion of a coffee date is the suggestion, because it does not mean that I actually went on a coffee date with them, right? Because whenever a guy suggests a coffee date, I prefer something a bit more intimate. Coffee dates feel very professional and businesslike. It's very weird. Are you trying to discuss the network, or are you trying to get to know me in a more intimate setting? So I would still go ahead and suggest dinner and they'll be cool with it. And fast forward, it's realizing we're not aligned. And I think I just realized, you know what? Maybe those men are initiating with coffee dates because he's expressing to you who he is and how he likes to operate. So if you're a woman that's okay with 50-50, like be honest, if you're a woman that's okay with 50-50, it's okay to accept coffee dates. If you're a woman that's not romantic, coffee dates are for you. If you don't really like deep, intimate, conversations, right? Maybe coffee date is for you. If you're a woman that also, let's say you prefer a generous man, men that initiate with coffee dates are not for you. If you're a lover girl and really go and very romantic, men that initiate with coffee dates are not for you. In my mind, I see men that initiate with coffee dates as being on the opposite end of the spectrum of men that offer drinks. I feel like they're one and the same, but they're just on polar opposites of the spectrum. With the coffee date guy, he is not generous. I don't know what's going on, but it's giving situationship. It's giving don't really want to do much. It's giving 50-50. Whereas on the opposite end of the spectrum, the guy that's trying to have a drink with you, he's trying to move very fast. It's giving he wants to do one thing with you. It's giving he's trying to be too intimate. Both are just so like the extremes for me. I'm more traditional and old fashioned. Why can't we just like talk on the phone for a couple hours? I don't know, listen for a little bit. Can you initiate with like a planned date? You come pick me up from my house, or you send an Uber for me, or you say, hey, let's meet at this time. You sit down and have dinner like adults and have a discussion. Is that too much to ask for? But it is for people that prefer coffee dates.
I've done one coffee date ever in my entire life, and this is the reason why I will never, ever, ever do it again. I matched with this guy. This is in my straight era, so I was only dating guys. And he was very persistent. He really, really wanted to take me out. So I was like, okay, whatever. He's being persistent. Let's go out. He offers a coffee date. And at the time, I'm like so single. I'm like, whatever. Like, I've never done a coffee date before. A lot of times, usually guys will take you out to dinner, but whatever. He wants to go on a coffee date. He sends me the place. He sends me the time. And then we meet and we grab coffee. It seemed nice on paper because he like drove a nice car. He had a Porsche. He had like the same dog that I have. He travels a lot with which is okay. And then he starts talking about how he goes on so many dates on this app that we met on. He's talking about how he is constantly going on dates with the app that we met on, and he loves doing coffee dates because, like, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Coffee dates are easy. And I'm 90% sure that I paid for my own coffee too. Let me start off by saying no woman is a gold digger because they want you to take her out to dinner. A man asks you out on a date and they should be expected to pay because they asked you out. Are we asking for a lot? Even a platonic friend, a co-worker would offer to pay for your coffee, but not this date. Man that wants to be your partner, a man that wants to be your significant other, a man that doesn't even buy you a coffee. Okay. There's gonna be people like, oh my god, I met my husband on a coffee date. Like, okay, you're an exception to the rule. You're the very small 1% exception. Like, you can have that. I've learned that coffee dates are a waste of my time. They're cheap, they're lazy, and I'm not cheap, and I'm not for someone that's lazy. I'm a queen and I deserve to be treated like a queen. And if you want to go out with me, then you better step the fuck up, because some people will accept less, but I won't. To wrap up the story, he messaged me not 1 day later, 1 month later, being like, I'm so sorry, I forgot to follow up. Like, my friend of a friend had got sick, like, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, you're one of those. Why'd you have to be one of those? Anyways, yeah, big waste of my time. Don't even bother.
Spare me the trauma of having to watch any little bit of that anymore. Okay? That was the most disturbing video I've ever seen in my
There's
entire
another
life.
one coming down the pipeline. There's 2 of them. There's another one coming down the pipeline. So I want to get your take. I mean, right now, apparently this is the advice that a lot of young women are giving each other online. It doesn't even seem they're young anymore. I've seen some old, mature women online talking about how, I guess, they should, never accept a coffee date because it's beneath them. So, first question, as a sophisticated man living out in LA, you deal with a lot of different types of people. My mic piece just fell off here. Let me reattach it. Have you, ever asked a woman out on a coffee date? And B, what is the rationale when you do ask a woman out on a coffee date? Is it because you're trying to be cheap? Is it because of some sort of hidden agenda to sidestep paying for a meal? What are your reasons to support doing a coffee date as a single bachelor dating versus thinking what these women are saying, that it's inappropriate to even ask them?
I've never asked a woman out on a coffee date, mainly because I don't drink coffee. I've asked a woman out for tea. I've asked a woman out to go and have a smoothie. I've asked a woman to go hiking. I've asked a woman to go and do some art together, something intensive and at the same time intimate. That's what I want to do.
For me,
I don't take women out for a dinner until I've gotten a chance to mesh with them and talk to them before, to see who I'm dealing with, because dinner is an investment into what I feel is long-term potential. Okay? Because guess what? I don't go to cheap dinners. I don't go to bars for dinner. I go to nice restaurants for dinner. I make you feel special for dinner. And so thus, dinner is a special occasion. And you don't just get to...
What I'm hearing you say is that dinner is not a first date thing.
No, absolutely not.
There's a process. Now walk through the process. Why is it that you wait, you feel a woman out first before you take her out to dinner? Is it because you're trying to be cheap, or is it because you don't think she's worthy of a dinner?
No. It's I'll dap it up to saying this. Would you just marry a woman and have never been with her intimately? No. You're gonna say, before we get married, we better see what's going on here between me and you. We have some chemistry. I'm not just gonna marry you because it's a good idea or because it's the
Oh,
popular thing to do or it's because I feel like that's the right thing to do. No, I am going to absolutely test drive this vehicle before I buy it. Okay? So I'm sorry, my brother. This is any 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 forward thinking man who is who is the least bit of alpha is gonna tell you straight away, I am not gonna take you out to dinner for a first date. I'm sorry. What's going to happen is me and you are going to meet up. We're going to have drinks, or we're going to have tea, and we're going to have a real conversation, whether it's sober or a little bit inebriated. But before we get inebriated, guess what? When we meet up, we're not having a drink right away and taking shots. We're having a conservative cocktail
conversation.
and having conversation. And then from there, if I decide to have more drinks with you and buy more of your drinks, because that's what's going to be happening, I understand that, then perhaps we can have a discussion at the end of the night about dinner.
Interesting points. So here's my thoughts. My thoughts is that it's totally appropriate to ask a woman out to coffee. And in fact, it would probably what I lead off with. I think there are times where I ask a woman out to dinner, like, hey, come out to dinner with me. But I feel like when you're making that decision, you've already assessed enough about her to know that a dinner date would be worthwhile to do that, right?
Right.
So if I'm at a conference and I've heard her talk and I thought she was intriguing in some ways and I wanted to connect with her on a deeper level because I feel like the conversation we have will be fruitful on that level, then to me, I don't mind extending that offer to that woman. But I feel like, a woman being attractive and maybe there is some conversation there and you're still trying to see enough about like what potential you see her for. I think it's totally appropriate to say, hey, let's do coffee, especially with online dating, because you don't really know what you're dealing with off rip, right? I've
Right.
seen a couple of videos that's gone online where this man went out to dinner with this woman, and I guess he showed up a little late, and she was there and she waited for him, and she ordered food for herself. He ordered food. They were eating. Then she called the waitress over and started ordering food for her children. She's a single mother and was ordering all this food for her children, like stuff that kids don't even eat, like lobsters and stuff like that, and adding it in to this dude's tab so she can bring it home for the children. And dude was like, nah, like, I'm not paying for like your meal or my meal, and then whoever else is placing the orders on the other line. I'm not doing that. So,
Right.
Respectfully, I'll pay for your meal. She continued and she was like, don't mind him, ring this up. And what was interesting is like the waitress was egging it on.
In a video that took place at a restaurant on a first date, this guy was an hour and a half late, so this girl decided to tell him that she's got to order 2 more meals for her kids and that he has to pay for it. Not only does she want him to pay for her meal, which is fine, but then she wants him to pay for his kid's meal that he has never met before and they are with his father, so that just makes no sense at all as to why he would pay for their meals.
Your meal. I'm not paying for your kids' meal. No.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not paying for their kids' meal. No, no.
So you don't think you owe me after having me wait an hour and a half?
I told you I owe you. I owe you one. I'll take you out
Okay,
again.
and so you're gonna pay for my kids' food.
No, I'm not doing that.
Can you please go ahead and
I'm not doing that.
The guy even went as far as to go to the chefs and tell them not to make the food for her because he did not want to pay for it. Whose side are you on? And let me know in the comment section.
I think the issue is that a lot of men have caught on to the fact that women a lot of times will agree to go out with you when they have zero interest of any romantic interest in you. They have literally zero interest and they just see it as, okay, this is a meal. Now I'm a dude with 5 sisters. I have 2 daughters. You know what I mean? I have had my experiences with lady friends and women in my life. And I happen to know that a lot of times women talk about that stuff. They know the guys that they have no sexual connection with. They're a lot of times are repulsed by those guys. But the fact that they see that guy could be a utility, they see that that guy could be useful in some ways. He could pay a bill. You know what I mean? He could take them out to eat. You know, there's women who are telling you for them to even talk to you, you got to cash app them. Just for them to talk to you got to send a cash app, right?
Think about this as well. For men, equity is valuable for us. Okay, equity is probably one of the most valuable things for us. That's what holds us to position. That's what holds us to strength. That's what holds us to companionship. We are dependent upon for that. You know what women are dependent upon for? Time. So guess what? I can guarantee you, women have experienced moments where they have gone out with a man, decided to go on a date with that man, and they don't like that man and felt like this was a waste of my time. And they didn't like that.
My time.
And
Absolutely.
the same thing happens for men where many times, and I know I can speak for you on this one too, where you've taken the girl out on a date and you're like, why did I do this? Why did I waste my time and my money on this woman? Why? It was a waste of an investment. We don't like wasting investments. Like,
That's a fact.
that's a thing for men. We
That's
see
okay.
investments differently, financially especially.
So to add to that point, which is a very valid one, and I'm pulling up another video just to kind of show this trend, because I think we need to put some sort of context onto this for those who are not following along and not
And
even
by the way,
understanding why this is even a
that
topic
video
of conversation.
screamed, that video screamed child support issues later. Watch out.
Oh my God. Red flag
Watch
for
out.
anybody who's
All those
red flag.
women.
But see, this is what I'm saying. It's a lot of these people, these women who give advice on TikTok. I don't know why other women listen to these women. They don't have the results that you want. They don't have a successful relationship. They're the pass around fun girls that literally dudes see as just like, you know, a good time. No one's trying to wife these women up. And that's one of the reasons they go in kind of talking like that, because I almost feel like that's part of the delusion. I think they think they're hot enough that a guy would want to go all out for them. And it's like, no, you're not that hot. Like, no. Like, no, I wouldn't. I'm not so
And
moved.
if you were, your attitudes and your words make you pretty damn ugly.
Listen, bro,
you know,
the hottest girls never have to act like that. They never have to barter for a meal. Have you ever noticed that? Like, there's certain women, they never have to barter, never have to ask. It's like the man wants to. It's like, because they already know, like they know, okay, like, you know, if you don't take me out, I'll find somebody else to take me out. Like, there's plenty of people who take me out. So I'm not going to barter for a meal with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, but part of the beauty is not just what you look like, I think. Yes, what you look like will draw a man's attention. He'll draw him to you. But a man also listens to what you say. He also envisions what life would look like with you. A lot of these girls sounded like entitled feminists, like women who like feel like they deserve something. It's like this bratty kid attitude. It's like, oh my God, like I'm supposed to have this because I'm just supposed to. And in part, this is a lot of the westernized thing that gets rejected by a lot of foreigners. Like, they perceive our women as being like headaches. You know what I mean? Like, this is how they think. They're taught to think like this. They're taught to think that they deserve better. There's this and that. And again, I think it's to each his own, right? Each man will have his own different approach about that. A lot of times, a man who you're interested in, you don't really care where he takes you.
That's right. That's right.
What? Like, when a woman has a mutual interest in a man where she's just as into him as he's into her, you could tell that woman you want to go for a walk. You could tell that woman you want to go to a burger joint. You could tell that woman you want, if she's just genuinely interested in you, she don't care.
Right.
She don't care. And there are women at times that will offer, they'll say, hey, I'll take you out. because they're interested in you. Like they're trying to find ways to minimize the excuse of not going out with you.
Right.
And again, I'm not advocating that men should just let women take them out. No, I do think that there is, some dignity in the fact that you got to man up. There's a woman you like, you got to definitely approach her, you got to definitely talk to her. But I don't think that you lose anything, you know what I'm saying, depending on what that is. And that's what I find, that if you can ask a woman and say, hey, you know what, would you like to hang out? And she says yes. And then you say, what do you like to do? Like, are you into outdoorsy? Because this is you trying to invite them into your world. This is what I like doing. I like camping. I like, being active. I like going to the gym. I like these things. This is what I like to do. And you're envisioning, would this person fit into your life? Is this an experience that I can share with you? So let me take you along to do the thing that I like to do. You know what I'm saying? So to me, if a person's a fit, they are going to be more than happy to go do that thing with you because you're like doing it, and they get to see what you look like when you do something you enjoy.
And the reality is that you're actually right, because you should be leading off with come and do something that I consider to be a hobby of mine. Because longer relationships that last are typically based on two people really enjoying a hobby related activity together that they do together. Or if it is not that, it is a passion that they do together, which is growing like
Exactly.
what they like to do together. So on of that nature. So in reality, dinner is the last thing that should be in concern. It should be, what do you like to do for your free during your free time? What are you impassioned by? And perhaps maybe doing that together so you can actually form a bond that is actually fruitful and meaningful, as opposed to something like dinner, which is very, very uh, uh, um, it's it's empty, right? It's just filled with a bunch of small talk and let's figure it out. Let me BS you and tell you that I just want to get to know you when I'm really actually dinner. If I take you to dinner first, you know what I'm doing? I'm trying to get into something. That's it. But
But
it's a
to add to your point, it's the fact that these women are so offended that the person didn't take them out to dinner is an indictment on the fact that they were never interested in that person in the first place.
and
It's
or
a
entitlement.
entitlement. But
Oh,
see, just think it through. If I'm going out with you because I have a genuine interest in getting to know you, then I'm just seeking an opportunity for us to sit down and get to know each other. Whether that's at dinner, whether that's on a jog or on some excursion, whether that's on some other activity that we get to do together, you know, a paint and art type of thing, whatever it is, whatever creative dating experience you guys think up. I think it's interesting because if a person's genuinely interested in getting to know you, they should be able to sit down with you over coffee and have a conversation. So to me, I view that as these women aren't really, they're too shallow, and they think that you would discover who they really are. You know what I'm saying? Or the situation is that, that not only will they not really impress you on the coffee date, but they had an agenda in a sense to say, okay, well, to be honest, I'm not really interested in getting to know you. That wouldn't be the reason why I go out with you. Now, if I had something to gain, as if like a free meal, then it would make sense for me. I could justify doing that. But if that's not the case, then I see no reason for us to hang out. I think this is a good opportunity to shift over to the second video that we have, where this young lady has been sort of the talk of the town, and she sort of explains why she takes offense to a man um, just taking her on a coffee date, and how she, essentially curbs coffee dates to avoid wasting her time, as she puts it.
don't do coffee or drink dates. Now,
Oh, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get into it.
this guy, and I'm going to read it to you because we've been talking for a couple days, and he started talking about meeting up. So he said, we should get together over some pear and lychee cocktails soon. And I said, that's really sweet, but I prefer dinner. I like to get dressed up. Now, I always try to say it nicely because I don't want to be like, I don't accept drink dates. Like, you don't have to be mean. You don't have to be, you can be nice about it. But let's just say I prefer dinner because I like to get dressed up.
Okay, so we already know she's more interested in where she's going and who she's going with. She's more interested in how she's gonna look than what we're gonna be talking about. It's interesting. Let's get into it.
You can be nice about it, but let's just say I prefer dinner because I like to get dressed up. And he said, I see. What type of places do you have in mind? So I sent him a list of places that I've been like wanting to try, all sorts of different budgets. Okay. It ranges from like medium to a little bit higher, all different locations around the city. So he can choose like what works for him, you know, timing and budget wise. So I sent the list of places. He says, these places sound really nice. I think it'll be fun to get to know each other over some nicer dining options. Here it comes though. But I wanted to let you know up front that if we were to meet at one of those places, I'm comfortable splitting the check. I usually will do drinks or something on the simpler end for the first meetup to see if there's a connection first.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why he's the MVP. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
Homie smart. He already peeped that all you care about is getting taken somewhere. You've had these places lined up, so you just want somebody to take you to these places you've been looking at. You don't care who you go with. He knows you're using him for this dinner, which is crazy, but why would he just, let's go.
So my thing is, I don't like the coffee or drink date because they're trying to audition you to see if you are worth an actual dinner.
100% right. Why are we going to this big nice dinner where I'm going to spend a few $100s just to find out we're not even compatible? We're not even vibing. We go to coffee, we have drinks just to see if our personalities even match up. You feel me? We do that just to see where we can go next. Like, you don't do dinner or movies or anything like that on the first date. You never really get to see the real side of a person. You do something real quick, something smooth, like he said, drinks. You know what I mean? So we could just take it easy and I can see where your head at. Like, what does he look like courting you out to dinner when he don't even know you? No.
This is the thing for me. Like, I know men. The number one thing men are judging you off of is your looks, right? When they see you, they meet you, they're going to be like, okay, how beautiful is she? Is she put together? Do I find her attractive, right? That's the number one thing. Your personality may come second, sure. But the first thing is how you look, right? So with that in mind, my NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer costs $32.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care. Let me tell you, we don't care.
No, you don't know men. You know what you want from men and what you're about to try to get from men, and we're not going for it. We don't care about how much you cost to make up. You're the one who said you got to get made up. We said you didn't have to do this. I just said come holler at me at the drink bar or the coffee bar. You're the one who brought up getting all done up. You wanted to do this, so don't try to flip it on me talking about how much your makeup costs. Let me tell you something. We don't care.
Okay. Why would I put on a full face of expensive makeup, do my hair, make sure my nails are done, make sure there's no hair on my body, and then come and spend 2 hours of my time talking to you for an $8 coffee or a $16 cocktail? Be oh so for real.
Guess what? You're a grown woman. Come ready. Already. That has nothing to do with me. You should be walking down the street with that done anyway.
Facts.
And nobody told you to come like that. That's on you. Everything she see, it has a dollar attached to it. You feel me? Like, all she see is money. Homie knew what it was. No, I'm not pressed for you, your time, and you ain't getting none of this money. You're not getting no free validation, no free dinner. You're not even about to be seen with me. I'm not about to be seen with you.
Let's take it even deeper. When women go out with a man that they do not know, they take a huge risk. Men are crazy. Okay. Do you watch the news? Like 1 in 5 men are violent. He could unalive you. He could RAPE you. He could stalk you. He could harass you if he feels like it. Like, it is very dangerous, extremely dangerous. When you go out with a man, you have to share your location with your mom and your friend. You have to send a screen recording of his Hinge profile and the conversation that you guys had so that if you go missing, they have context. You have to text your friend every half an hour while you're with him to let her know that you haven't been beheaded. You have to take an Uber so that he doesn't know what kind of car you have, just in case he's crazy. And then when you get home, you have to text somebody to tell them that you made it home alive. Men aren't doing that. They don't have to worry when they meet a woman that they do not know that their lives will be in danger. Quite the contrary.
I beg your pardon?
That's the problem. You're sitting up watching the news, scrolling social media all day, escaping reality. You so far in your bubble, you don't even know what's going on out here. We, men, we're worried about getting set up. We're worried about getting used. We're worried about getting trapped. We're worried about a bunch of shit. So for y'all to sit up and say we're not worried about nothing except for getting catfished or something simple like that is crazy. We worry about a bunch. Y'all sit up and have babies that ain't ours, put them on us, put us on child support. Y'all sit up, involve your family members in our business. You know what I mean? When it was your fault, you sit up, talk bad about us on social media. When it was your fault, you knew what them guys was about when you chased him down. You know what I mean? You ain't about nothing. I'm not even about to go there. Let's continue.
Men benefit from just being seen with you in public, okay? If you are beautiful, poised, well-dressed, it reflects well on him. People look at him and they think, oh, wow, he must be the man. Ooh, he probably has money. You know what? He's probably a good guy if he can pull her. And this is especially so if you are more attractive than him. If he's fugly or he's overweight or he's short, they're like, oh yeah, he must have money in order to be able to pull a baddie like that. So my thing is like, what's in it for women? We've already spent more money than you by just putting our makeup on. We're in danger. Like, what's in it for us? So then all of that, plus this man is a pharmacist, okay?
She's so lost. She got the reality so flipped up. It's actually the other way around. We're the man. They know we the man by ourselves when you actually the man. So cut the shit. You know what I mean? They see you with me and all the girls be like, oh, she got her one. She secured the bag. You know y'all like that word. Secured the bag. That's what y'all on. They not looking at him saying nothing. The homies, they probably looking at him like, what he doing? Like, we know shorty using him for the money. Ain't nobody clapping, applauding him. They applauding you because you done locked it down. Yeah, you look good. You arm candy, but guess what? We can find that anywhere. You can find a girl that don't even speak English and just use her arm candy. It don't take much. Like, come on. It's actually the opposite. So while you're out here on your TikTok spreading lies, add that into it. That's why I say focus on y'all. And if they're not down to go get drinks just to see where each other head at, you're a red flag. You trying to get a free dinner. Why are you out here down bad like that? You're trying to get some free validation. You're trying to get done up so you can be taken out and have a good time. That's what you want without giving nothing up. Say, all right, let's do something else. And then the next day, you're going to be with another dude. We're not going for this. We just didn't vibe because you should have went and sat and had coffee with him and you would have known that, but you don't want to know that. You want to get some money spent on you so you can hop to the next dude and do that with him. Stay on your job, man. See y'all in the next one.
Okay, what's your thoughts on that video? More of the finesse.
Honestly, I wouldn't touch her with a 10-foot pole that has your pole attached to it. Okay, please get her off my screen. She is. Listen. Oh my goodness, that is a nightmare on Elm Street situation, my guy.
Waiting to have it, right?
She was scarier than Freddy Krueger. I'm not even joking with you. That's if you're any type of man with common sense, when you hear that, you really gotta look at that video and think to yourself, when have I met a girl like that wasn't that honest? had the same
Have
demeanor
you
as
ever
me.
met a girl like
Had the
that?
same, yes,
You meet them all the
100%.
time, man.
I
You
meet
know
them all
what's
the
so
time. It's
crazy,
LA.
bro? I could remember a time where I would never meet a girl like that. I don't know. I'm in my 40s. I would never meet a girl like that. And there was a time where I would never actually, like, a woman would feel too ashamed to be this like boisterous about being ignorant and foolish. You know what I mean? Like, to carry us, like he said a point, you're that down bad that like a meal with a dude you have zero interest in, you know, irks you so much that you got to get on TikTok to complain about it. What?
And you're talking
Now,
about how much it costs you to get your makeup done.
to get your makeup
That
done.
no,
She said,
no.
"Oh, I
What
have
if I
hair on my
imagine?
body, and I wouldn't have removed it had I
How about
not
this?
had to go on this date with you."
First of all, the fact you got hair on your body tells me all I need to know. Okay, please. That nothing is real. Come on, stop. I don't want to hear about your hair on your body. You got to remove just to go on a date with me. Please stop it. Because not every woman is naring the whole time before she gets to the date. Okay, please
You got to
stop.
pick that thing off now. You got
Listen, listen. What if I said?
a whole
What if I
shaving
said?
cream kit.
What if I said? What if I said? You know what? I had to go and get my car washed. You know how much that costs? About $30. I had to go and put gas in my car, actually, too, to pick you up. That's another like 50, $60.
Yeah.
You know, I had to make sure I go and get my, myself, trimmed up and get a nice little
Yeah, I had
fade
to get a
going on.
haircut too.
You know,
This
I had
dude
to
just
get a
happened.
haircut too. Yeah, that's another like, $60. I mean, you think I'm just coming out here, jumping out here just to
Bro,
come on,
real
man?
talk.
That's a bunch
It's
of
sad.
crap.
You know, somebody said this one time. They said, the reason why the Taliban fight so hard, they reject Western culture so hard, is because they don't want their women to be empoisoned with the mindset. They start going around there acting like this is America in Iran, or they or in Taliban, right? And wherever it is there, Afghanistan. They they don't want their women to just one day come in, they're not wearing a hijab, they got all these demands, and all of a sudden now you don't qualify. And like, they don't want nothing to do with that. So they say that's a lot of times these dudes would rather go blow themselves up and live with 7 virgins in heaven than than to accept this concept of this woman coming out and demanding these things from them, and you know what I mean. So
But
a
but
lot of
this is
okay.
this is this is this is classic uh, culture guilt, right? It's idealism for women,
It's true.
and for men that
Oh,
that are okay
like
with
that one.
that and don't do anything about it. All they are commoners, right? Who feel like, oh, I have to be traditional because traditional is the way to go, and I don't want to be made um, to be some type of low life because I don't want to go the traditional way and take a woman on a date the first time I ever hang out with her, which is
But the problem
uh,
goes so much deeper. I think the problem goes deeper, bro, because like I said, I can remember a time where they were on television, they would never show a married couple sleeping together in the same bed. Now you turn
right.
on the TV, all sorts of people are kissing each other. You know what I mean? There is all sorts of activity. You got people eating people butt crack on television. You know what I mean? People who's the pastor's wife eating another person's butt crack. Megan Good, I still think you're dope, but that was a little foul. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, things that we depict, and I think what we've depicted as a society here is that these wayward women who who try to make it seem like it's cool to be a promiscuous woman. It's cool to be this woman who's like going against the grain, who's rebellious, who's like setting the demands, who's independent, who's setting her terms. And it's like supposed to be cool. So they're pushing this messaging down. And a lot of these girls, you know, unfortunately, I don't think that they have enough to combat that messaging. And so they start to believe that that's the way that they should conduct themselves. And it's actually sad. There's parts of me that kind of cringes, especially when I see Black women doing that. I'm like, oh, because I'm like, damn, like I would never want my daughter to act like that. Ever. I would never want to see my sisters acting like that. Ever. You know what I mean? Because I feel like that's the representation of like the fact that there was certain parenting you didn't really get. So to me, that's a very tough thing to see in terms of people doing that. Like, this isn't to attack those women. I just feel like either they're doing this for the click. So I would just assume that they're just doing this for clickbaits. They're trying to get people to start a conversation. And so maybe if it's for that reason and they don't really move like that, it's another story. But if women are really going around thinking that way, I think it's wrong. I don't think you should ever be interested in a man solely because of his money. Now, I do believe that a man is supposed to provide some level of security for women. And I do believe that a woman is supposed to assess, which situation will put her in the best place. But also, I think it has more to do with character. You can have a man of character who, is just a man of integrity that I think would be better off to serve the relationship in the long term versus just dealing with a man of means per se. Because even a man of means, he may be willing to pay your meals, but that doesn't mean he's going to respect you in a household. He may be willing to pay your meals and buy you bags and buy you nice stuff, but that doesn't mean he won't put his hands on you. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean he won't treat you like crap, right? That doesn't mean he won't talk down to you. That doesn't mean he won't, hurt you. So to me, it's like it's a combination of things. But I think that as single people, we should be very selective with how we handle these things. You know what I mean? How we handle dating. I just think if you lead off with this list of demands, then you're already starting off at a disadvantage. That's how I feel. In the same way that I don't, men shouldn't feel entitled. Like if a woman says, yeah, I'll go out with you, as a man, you shouldn't assume that she wants to put out or that you're entitled to get her goods the first night. I would say that to men as well, in the same way that a woman, shouldn't feel that way as well. But I do believe that she made a point that was a good one. She said, if a person's going to invite you out, then they should be willing to foot the bill since they're they're making invitation. That you guys are not mutually agree to hang out. You know what I mean? You're extending an invitation to them. So I've never been in a situation where I'm inviting someone out and I'm expecting them to pay for the invitation that I've invited them on.
Course.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's just having some forms, having some etiquette, right? Being a gentleman. So men, if you're gonna invite a woman out, to me, I think it's not a good look for you to expect her to pay 50-50 on your invitation to take her out.
Right. But we should add though that there's nothing wrong with being a 50-50 man.
Oh, you believe in the 50-50?
It's not that I believe in the 50-50 across the board of everything. I'm just saying that there's nothing wrong with going 50-50 because guess what? A lot of family homes, go 50-50.
No,
Like
it's a fact. See, I think that's different. I think that speaks to a mindset thing. A lot of times people don't see themselves as a part of a unit. They see themselves as a dependent. Like these women want to be dependents. They want someone to come in and be the white knight that takes on all their burdens, takes on their children, takes on their bills, their student loans, takes on their living expenses, just because they're pretty and they're willing to stand next to you. They don't intend on being there for you. They don't intend on supporting you. They don't intend on somehow loosening the burdens that you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. They just assume that because they're pretty and you want their time and attention and you see something in them, that's all they have to do. That's the start and the end of everything they have to do. So to me, when it's starting off like that, it's already starting off on the wrong foot. It's already giving you an indication that this person does not have any real interest. And that's the thing I would say to men, because I don't think a lot of men know any better. Sometimes a person intentions for you is evident by how they treat you. These women, to me, and again, it's not a personal attack on any of these women. I don't know what their situation is. I don't want to be viewed as the guy who's like got some vendetta against women who feel like they should go out to dinner on the first date, because I'm not. But what I'm saying is there's a lot of times there's people who are opportunists and they come in different forms. You can have a family member that's an opportunist. You can have a friend that's an opportunist. You can have a sibling that's an opportunist. And you can have a dating prospect that's an opportunist, which means that person's true intention for you was never to give you a fair shot, was never to consider you, was never to serve you. They never went in there with the right motives or the right intentions for you. They went in there solely thinking about how to take advantage of you. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, if you're like, hey, I'd like to get to know you, you know, it shouldn't matter what that person proposes or where they propose to take you if you share the similar interest in getting to know them. Right. But if you're like, well, since you want to get to know me, this is what it's going to take. I have to be taken out to dinner and it has to be of a particular restaurant. And here's the list of restaurants that are suitable for me. Different price points and different touch points throughout the town. You know what I mean? Like, automatically the conversation, the relationship starting off on a bad footing. Automatically, this person is indicating to you in big red letters, I have no interest in anything about you. I just care that you fulfill my requirements in order for me to justify being around you. You understand what I'm saying? Like, they're trying to find reasons to be around you. You know what I mean? Versus having an actual interest in who you are as a person.
Yeah. Because guess what? There are a lot of women out there who will be fine with just sitting in a park and talking to you. If they're really into you, they'll be like, let's just sit in a park and
Let's
talk.
just
I like
like the real ones, and those are the women you want to go above and beyond for, because they're showing you, listen, dude, it's just you. Like, I just want to get to know you. And that's, to me, that's the first sign for any man. You know what I mean? If a woman can't be willing to like simplify things, especially to start, that's the first sign. And I think a lot of men are starting to see it, or else there wouldn't be no TikTok video. A lot of men are starting to make this shift where they're like, you know what? I don't know that I even want to do a dinner with you.
Right. So can we just get to the point here? The moral of this whole thing here, which is, fellas, if she tells you that she doesn't go on dates to have drinks for the first time, or she doesn't do coffee dates, run for the goddamn hills. Don't stick around. She's a head case, basket case. She's a child support situation.
Nightmare waiting to happen.
Waiting and ready to happen. Okay? You don't want those kind of problems. If she's not willing to do the simple things with you, she's willing to do the really hard things with you. You don't want none of that.
To be totally honest with you, bro, I've run into a few of women like that just on a dating scene. You know, you go on a dating app and you have these randoms. And what I find sometimes, a lot of people on these dating apps, they're socially awkward, bro. Like, these aren't people that's like easy to get along with. That's approachable in real life. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes. Now, I'm not saying that's all the time, but sometimes that's what it is. Sometimes when you're meeting someone, you can kind of see some of their flaws as to why it'd be hard. You know, so if you're talking to somebody online and they're telling you, you know, this is where you have to take me on the first date, bro, they're not really interested in you. That's just point blank what it is. And you got to accept that. You got to accept that without feeling like it's you that's the problem, bro. Because a lot of times there's a lot of pure-hearted people that mean well. They're well-meaning people, you know what I mean? And you see a pretty girl, you want to get to know her, you know what I mean? So you reach out. Now, to a woman's defense, I understand what they're dealing with. You know, like, a woman, there's a lot of piranhas, a lot of people trying to get that cookie. So if you got to sift through between the busters and the people that you think's worthy of getting the cookie, then
You're
I'm
not
sure
gonna know a busted from someone trying to get the cookies based on whether or not you go on a coffee date or a
that's
goddamn
a
food
fact
date.
though. But you see,
They
this is
don't.
one.
They're all in the same place.
That's a fact. This is actually a point that was made in the video. The first video we watched, one of them was like, "Oh, the guy's cheap and this and that," and then the last lady in the video was like, "This guy drove a Porsche. He lived in a nice house, you know, but he told me he'd take a bunch of girls on these coffee dates. But he drove a nice car. He lived in a nice place. He was making a lot of money. He had a nice car. You know what I mean?" She was acknowledging like this was a well-to-do guy who was taking this approach. So it's not something specific to a particular class of men, whether the man got money or don't have money. And a lot of times what women don't realize is if a dude asks you on a coffee date, he probably is a guy that has more money. Most of the times the guys stunting and trying to pretend like they got it like that are the ones that don't got money. So he'll take you on a date. You don't even know that car might have been stolen. Homie might have stole that car that he take you on a coffee date with. You don't know if he borrowed that money. You don't know if he borrowed that car. You think just because the guy was willing to lavishly approach you in this fashion that he was a real one. That doesn't make him a real one.
If we want to go into our financial bag here, our financial knowledge bag,
Mm-hmm.
if you're with a wise man, it's going to be the man who says, I've repeated this over and over again to where I have taken a woman out on a date and I pay for food to only get an unsuccessful result in the form of finding someone that fits me.
Yep.
However, I have taken women on coffee dates or simplistic dates where it's more intimate and more organic. And I found myself in longer term relationships
Facts.
or even acquaintances with those women.
Good
And thus,
friendship.
why would I continue to repeat an activity that is riddled in failure
Very
just
good point.
because it makes me look good? I don't care about looking good. I care about feeling good.
Wow.
So I'm not going to continue to repeat the same thing over and over and spend all this money doing something that only leads to failed results. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It's like investing in a failing
A
company.
losing stock.
No longer a business.
You know the stock's
Why would I
going
put
down,
my-
you keep buying. It's a fact.
Exactly. I'm not going to go put my money in Toys R Us because it's already failed. It already filed for bankruptcy. Why would I do that? So think about the reality of what type of man you're actually looking for and asking for, because the habits that reap tradition don't reap results.
I love that you made that point because that's exactly the type of man that these women are looking for, a senseless man. A senseless man is a man that doesn't stop to take an account of the steps he's been making. He doesn't stop to see that, hey, this doesn't make any sense. I've been doing the same thing over and over and again, and it keeps yielding me the same results. These half-hearted relationships or these opportunistic women who come around only to take something from me and not to give anything to me. And so at some point I do have to change things up to my benefit. So a woman the women who's making that argument is they're speaking to the senseless man who thinks that, what they're saying should somehow move their pride, because what they're trying to do is trigger a thing within a man's insecurity. Oh, you're not a man if you don't do this. If you don't take me out to dinner, you're not a man. So you're trying to tell him that he's not a man if he doesn't splurge on you, who has zero interest in him, who have no real interest in him, who has no real even attraction towards him, right? He's not a real man if he doesn't allow you to use him.
Right.
But he would be a real man if he did.
Right. No, it's like, okay, you put a blindfold on a man, walk him in front of a house and tell him that it's a mansion, that is beautiful. It's got green grass everywhere.
Yep.
It's got 3 stories and a really huge backyard and white picket fence.
Yep.
And tell him that you need $1 million for him to invest in that. But he's got a blindfold on. He's just gonna trust you. But he's just supposed to trust you because you told him you're taking him to Brentwood. And let's say you took him to Brentwood. That doesn't mean that house looks like that in Brentwood.
In Brentwood, that's true.
But I'm supposed to just trust you that the area is good enough that it's going to be what you said it is. No. It don't work like that. It does not work like that. You know what I mean? Like, and if you had a man, and he came home to you and told you he made that investment with that type of
He's
activity
a
going
fool.
on,
It's a senseless
he's a
man.
fool, and you would leave him.
It's a
So
senseless
what are we
man.
talking about here?
But no, that's the point, bro. The whole point of this whole thing is for them to target senseless men who don't have deductive reasoning, the capacity to rationalize exactly what you just said. Hey, I've been taking these women out that I'm meeting on these dating sites over and over and over again, and I keep yielding the same results. A bunch of women who are hungry for a meal, but who doesn't follow through, who is dating 10, 15 other guys who really don't have much substance or much to offer me, but I'm just going to continue the cycle just because I might yield a return on that. And at some point, exactly. And so they want that man to continue to stay in the marketplace. They want you to continue to feel, well, I'm not a real man because you just said I'm not a real man because I didn't continue the senseless act of repeating a resultless, action, right? It's getting me nothing, but I'm going to continue to repeat it. Now, I do think as a man, if you are going to invite a young lady out, bro, if you invited her to coffee, pay for the coffee. Don't be that.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Like the coffee though, like come on, at least one.
And even if she invites you out, even if she says to you, let's go to coffee.
Let's go to coffee. Pay for the coffee, bro. That's a gentleman thing to do. And another thing too, it's like, men as a whole, I don't know too many men who, if you got it, aren't willing to do something for a woman. I like, to me, I take great pride in saying, hey, I got it, boo. Don't even worry. You're out with me. You're hanging out with me. Don't even worry about it. I take great pride in that. Right. But at the same time, too, I'm also not a sucker for love. So a lot of these things these women are talking about, I think there is a select group of men who are not able to talk to women. They're awkward. So this is why a lot of women exploit those type of men, because they don't have certain skill sets, life skill sets that they need just to talk to people and communicate. To be honest, if you got to go and be extorted just to get some box,
wild,
just to get you some, if you have to let a woman trick you into believing that you have to pay her bills, cash app her, and take her on fancy dinners and buy bags just so you can sniff at the kitty, bruh, the problem's much deeper.
I'm glad you said that, because the majority of those women are looking for guys who cannot carry weight.
There you go. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you notice, most of the broke dudes that are attractive are ladies' men. Women are buying them stuff.
Right.
If you are a woman, if you are what they would call a womanizer, that is a man who knows women well. Those dudes a lot of times don't come around with big bank. They just know women. You feel what I'm saying? So
and some of them have big bank, but they still gonna go. You gotta earn that bank. You gotta earn that.
Did you hear what she said? The lady said that dude was driving a Porsche, still didn't pay for the coffee. She paid for her own coffee. Now, that's some gangster stuff to do. You driving Porsche, you had to pay for a coffee. That to me was an indictment on her. If a guy who's driving a Porsche refuses to pay for your coffee, what the hell happened in that date?
Yeah, exactly.
That turned that man off so much that he would walk out. He got Porsche money, but he would refuse to pay for your coffee. You must have been of such little substance that he was like, I'd be offended to even pay for your coffee to support
but
you.
But he had a little bit of decency to just show the fuck up. I'm not just gonna cold-hearted just leave her on the streets. I'm gonna show up, but I ain't paying for it.
I ain't gonna pay for it. But see, that's what I'm saying. I go back to this all the time. There are categories of women, and I need y'all to get this. In my view, there are categories of women, and actually, if you even look into certain scripture and text and biblical text, it talks about, it makes very sound distinctions. There are wives. Wives are entitled to a man's estate, to a man's pension. They're entitled to everything that man owns should he pass away. They're entitled to half of it should the relationship not work out. There are acquaintances and there are fun girls. An acquaintance is in between a wife and a fun girl, but fun girls in the Bible is referred to as concubines. These are women that you play with. These are transactional women. They're prostitutes, if you will. They're escorts. These are women that does not need an emotional connection to give you what it is that you want, right? This is a transactional woman. Hey, I need this. I'm willing to pay this. They don't care what you look like. They haven't reasoned it that much. They're not going to say, oh, well, you are a few pounds too heavy for my taste, so I can't give you this. No, they're going to set a price. Here's what the price is. And they're going to show up and fulfill that service. And what a lot of women don't realize is, are you giving vibes? You want to be a wife, but you're a fun girl. And if a man has perceived you to be a fun girl, he's not going to treat you like a wife. So if he refuses to pay for your coffee, if he refuses to even do certain little things for you, he's diminished your worth to such a point where he doesn't see beyond this being a transactional thing. You're like a level below that to him. And there's some men who's willing to go above and beyond and pay top dollar for a fun girl, a transactional girl, an escort. A high-end escort, they don't want any of the troubles of dealing with you emotionally. They're just going to pay for the companionship of the escort. And then they walk away. It's transactional and they're done. They don't get involved. They don't talk about their kids, their affairs. None of that stuff is really anything that they delve into. We're doing a transactional situation here, right? So ladies, in the same way I would advise, my sisters, siblings, anybody that I care about, have some self-respect for yourself to not be solely viewed as somebody's fun girl, somebody's thing to play with. And a lot of times when y'all do TikToks like this, you're telling the world, please see me as this transactional woman. I want to be regarded as a transactional woman. And this is part of the delusion that kind of hurts my heart to watch these women do this to themselves, because it's like, damn, nowhere in your life did anyone tell you that that is beneath you to allow a man to see you as this transactional person. You want to put on men. Before we see them
as transactional, we see them as a goddamn headache. Let's just be honest. We see them as a headache, okay? And a headache means I'm only gonna deal with you. I'm only gonna put up with you for a certain amount of time.
For a certain period of time until I take the Tylenol.
Yo, we have about 3 or 4 sessions together to hang out after this moment right now, and it's a wrap. I'm not with you anymore. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want nothing to do with you, because after 3 or 4, now you're gonna start getting headaches, because her level of intensity is going to increase because you've been together intimately or whatever it is, or you've been spending some time together.
It's true. No, it's true. A lot of these women are headaches waiting to happen. But you know what it is, though? Sometimes as men, we need to do better, because a lot of dudes are willing to put their penis in those type of women anyways. Like, I know she's hella toxic, but might as well dip in.
I'm speaking for all of us, for the gamut, right? For the ones who just want to dive in, and the other ones who they don't necessarily want to dive in, but they're willing to kind of poke around and see what's going on, and lead on emotions and all that crap.
To me, I've always asked the question: why is it that women don't check women like this? Like, why is it that women in our community now don't feel offended that women are representing them? And I should say this as a disclaimer, because I think a lot of times when we have these discussions, we speak about it as if all Black women or all women in the Western world act like that. And just to be clear, that's not the case. There are plenty of good women in the Western world. There are plenty of good, sound women who are worthy to be wives, who exist out there. So this is not us speaking out of turn and trying to make it seem like where women haters. I love me a beautiful woman. Don't get that twisted. And Renee will tell you the same. But at the same time, too, to me, it bothers me that to me, I look at that like that's a waste of a woman. Like you're a decent looking woman and you're like a clown, like you're foolish. You know what I mean? Because the things that's coming out of your mouth sounds crazy. Now, again, as a woman, you should have respect for yourself, right? As a woman, you should view yourself in such a way. But if you're willing to use your to be viewed, like there's women that's willing to be flown out to Dubai, so some prince could shit on them for their sexual pleasure.
Right.
Like, yeah, you got a bag, and then they're gonna go online and brag about that. Like, yeah, I got flown out. But sis, you got shitted on. Like, why is that something that's like worthy to brag about? Like, you have no sense of self-respect that you'd be willing to do virtually anything for money, right? As in to have a foreigner fly you out to shit on you and do all sorts of weird sexual pleasures and stuff with you. You're like this transactional person. And to me, it's like I would feel, again, I feel ashamed just the idea that anybody in my family or any female within my family would carry themselves in a way like that. To me, it's a shameful thought, right? So I can only imagine what the parent, the father of these women, if they have any sort of self-respect to hear their daughters talking like this, I can only imagine like what this is about. Like it sounds crazy.
It's about self. It's about I'm proud of what I got going on. I'm a strong woman, and it comes right back around to the fathers in their lives.
Or lack
Really
thereof.
taking or lack thereof. But sometimes they do have fathers, but they
Yeah.
just weren't there to teach them how to be as a woman when it comes to what you should present in yourself when in front of a man. Because you don't know what man is in front of you, because that could be the potential man of your life.
Of your life, that's
So
true.
you have to move accordingly. You have to show him that you are the difference maker. And a lot of women don't get that from a young age.
And I think a lot of things that they don't pay attention to. I think it was Fresh and Fit who said something. He said, women think that men think like them. A woman cares about a man's future, and a man cares about a woman's past. So, could you imagine being a woman who acted like this and have a bunch of social media like this, and then fast forward 10 years, you're somebody's wife, you're somebody's mother, and now these old video clips of you is coming up of thinking and having been viewed as a woman who used to do these favors for dinners and stuff like that. You used to go out and you was this transactional woman at this one point in your life. You was getting flown out to be shitted on and all sorts of stuff because it was cool, because you felt like you had the voice. And then eventually you got to a place where you found a husband, and now that husband now has to live with the past, with your past re-emerging when you finally get to a place in your life where you want to be taken serious as an adult, and you're somebody's mother and you all of that. Now all of a sudden your past is re-emerging, and now it clouds who you've grown to become. Oh, that's not a good vibe.
No.
It's not a good
It's a
vibe at
fail-
all. And as
it's
a
a
woman,
fail
you have
vibe.
to have the foresight. You have to have the foresight to say, I'm not living my life for where I am today. I'm living my life for where I'll be 20 years from now. 20 years from now, I'm going to be somebody's mother. 20 years from now, I'm going to be somebody's wife. 20 years from now, I'm going to be somebody's grandmother, potentially, right? And I wouldn't want this to come back and haunt me as something I did that, you know, is detestable, that's going to bring shame to my family or to my children. You know what I mean? That my kids, if they seen it, would be like, oh my God, yeah, that's my mom. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you got to think like that. And there was an example, I think, of Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. And everybody knows Kim Kardashian's history, you know, what made her famous, you know, Ray J and in that tape. Now, as a mother, I can recall there being an incident where there was supposed to be a release of that tape again, or they tried to scrub it out, and the tape was going to come out, and she essentially had to pull some power moves and touch base with Kanye to get certain things removed, because the kids was old enough now in this time to know that their mom was out there like that, and she didn't want that visual being embedded in her kid's mind of her. Did you ever hear that story?
Of course. But guess what? It ain't going away. It
doesn't go away. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. That's the problem. It doesn't go away, and that ends up being what you do. So now down the line, that your past will eventually haunt you. Your past will eventually catch up to you. And these women are living in the moment, doing their hot girl summer stuff, doing these things to be liked and validated by other, useless people online. But at the end of the day, this is not helping you. This is not making people look at you in a respectable manner. And I think that's part of the problem. We're too short-sighted. We have this immediate gratification thing. We don't think through the long-term effects of a decision. And if you're not able to think a couple levels deeper than just the immediate, then there's some real issues there that you got to look into. You know what I mean? And again, we can sit here and bash and do all this stuff and play and, and kind of be, kind of playful and lighthearted about the situation. But at the core of what we're saying is, ladies, you got to have enough respect for yourself to carry yourself in a manner that is respectable. You know what I mean? Right. To come across as a shallow, materialistic woman, who would use multiple men for free meals. I mean, I just think it's just.
So let's take the meal concept or the meal part out of it, right? At the end of the day, what the ladies need to know is that you cannot determine the value of a man and the prospect of him being a long-term investment in your life by what he does for you in the form of dinner or drinks when he first meets you. You cannot say that this man is the best or the worst based on going to dinner or deciding to go to get coffee or to go on a walk or sit in the park.
But that is very telling of how limited their thinking capacity is. And what I'm thinking is, I don't believe these women believe any of that stuff either. I don't think they believe that if a man takes them out to dinner, then that means he's a real one. I don't really believe that they believe that. I believe that that's the rhetoric they use to get sucker men who don't have enough ability to think through a situation to fall for that. It's a hustle.
Right.
It's just a hustle. And it's unfortunate that, they do that. And that's why there's a point of it too, where I have to say to the men, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Men, these type of women exist out here, and they're going to continue to run the same type of game. And now if you're running into the same game from a different face, a different type of woman, different color, different whatever, it's the same game. Different class, same game.
But then you don't even need to see the damn game, because she's going to tell you right away. I've had a woman tell me before when I said, hey, let's, perhaps go and grab some tea or maybe go and grab a drink. And she's like, yeah, I don't do drinks for first dates. Like, you can take me to dinner. And I said, nice to know you. Nice talking to you. And I walked away. Right away. Okay? I don't need.
Dude, I had that happen. This girl kept beating it over the head. Like, she was like, I can do dinner though. I was like, no, I just want to do tea with you. I don't even know that I want to do a dinner with you yet. I'm just trying to get to know you. She's like, no, but I'm a dinner type of girl. I'm like, really? Okay. You know what? Enjoy your dinner. I'm not going to partake. Because to me, I just feel like if you're that thirsty for dinner, sis, you're not interested in me. Not that I don't want to eat. Because here's the thing. A guy's going to go out to eat. Like, I go out to have lunch. I don't mind inviting a young lady out to lunch. I'm going to go out to dinner. So me taking you out to dinner is not the issue. Me being hesitant to take you out to dinner means that my radars is going off, that you have no real interest in me. You just see me as a means to an end. Any man that's already hesitant to pay for dinner, it's not the dinner, ladies. They're not. Men will buy dinner for anything and anyone. You have rich men who buy, girls who don't have much substance upstairs dinner. It's neither here nor there. Like, dinner is dinner. We're gonna all eat. It's not about the food.
But who wants to be sitting having dinner with excuse my language, a dumb bitch? Who wants to be going and having dinner with a girl who is just an ignorant? Okay, like, I'm gonna sit here and go through this ordeal of having to sit and act like I want to talk to you, like, just because I decided to have dinner with you when I should have had a drink with you. And then guess what? We have 2 drinks, and I say sayonara, see you later because you suck.
We cut this short. Yep.
We cut this short. Cut both our losses. Don't waste any of our time or our money.
But you see, I feel like the dinner is a flex, right? Because these women just want to me, I feel like women are in competition with each other. I don't even think they do that shit for men. I feel like women are constantly looking for reasons to brag to other women about why they're better than other women.
Or, oh, he took me out to dinner at this really nice fancy
Here's where we
place.
went, da-da-da. Like, if you see a woman, like, have you ever seen a woman who's like, if they have a nice dress on, they don't want the other woman to have the same type of dress. And if that woman has the same type of dress, they hate them. They're like, I look better in that dress or whatever. They like fight over stuff like that because, or if they have a man, if you have a nice looking man, a woman will bring a man around to her friends just so her friends could want her man, so she could feel more important in the presence of her friends. This is what women do.
Or they talk about your size, and how well you are in the bed, and it's literally just to make themselves look better.
In the eyes of their friends. All these vacations, all these vacations, we're flying here and they're taking the pictures and they're videotaping. Here's how my perfect life looks with my guy who has a great body and who's great in bed. Don't you wish you were me? Don't you wish you were here experiencing this? This is all women flexing on each other. I promise you, no man's like, damn, I wish I was him.
No.
In doing a vacation. I've never had that thought ever. Not one time. Watching somebody do that, I never thought like, ooh, I wish I was him with her doing that vacation. Never.
Yeah,
but women do that shit.
A thought.
Yeah. Women do that shit all the time. Bro, that was the most empowering thing for me. Is the moment where I realized, like, listen, I'm not going to play along as a caricature in this little story that you're trying to tell your friends. When I started to realize that women would flex like that, like a woman wants to show off to her friends. She wants to be better than her friends. It's the cattiness of women, bro. Like, they want to be better than friends. So they're doing all this shit to flex on other women. Because take those same women and put them in a society where that shit is not accepted. Like, take them and move them to the Middle East and let them try that shit. I promise you, I'll give you 3 months. That shit will be dead in the water. You know why? Because the women around there don't tolerate that type of shit.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? They don't tolerate that. They don't accept that. You would be viewed as like an outcast. Like, what are you doing? And look, just the social pressures of your new environment will prevent you from acting like that. But when you're in an environment that allows you to feel that you can you can always be catty with each other, and you're always trying to one-up each other, you're operating in an environment where that's tolerated and welcomed, and it's celebrated for you to act like that.
Well, let's before we get to a close here, let's make sure that we talk to the men.
Talk to them.
Open your ears, open your eyes. Most importantly, close your pocketbooks. Then you'll see the temperament of the woman you're dealing with.
That you're dealing with.
Whether or not she is worth.
That's a bar. You need to drop the mic, brother.
The mental equity. You'll see if she's worth it. That's what you do.
To be honest, I almost feel like all men should do that. And let me say what I mean by that. I feel like, but then again, let me wheel it back before I even make that comment. All men's intentions is not to wife these women up. So let's start off there. So sometimes men allow themselves to be played with because they're like, look, sis, you're not who I'm picking. So I'm just here going along with the flow because, I'm just trying to have a good time for tonight. I have no real intentions for you as a woman. And that's why you find a lot of these women end up not ever being married to anybody. Some men will play along with the shit and they'll go along. They'll get you the meal. They'll get you the bag. They'll get you the shoes, but they won't get you the ring. They will not get you the ring. Yeah. You want a pair? Oh, yeah. I will give you all these little superficial things that will go away.
Right.
The meal will be digested in a few hours.
Right.
Those shoes will eventually be worn out. The bag will eventually break and tear. But my commitment, my loyalty, my support is limited. I'm not giving you a ring that says I stand with you here and now, forever and always.
Right. So, yeah,
I'm giving you the little material things. So there are a group of men that says, yeah, what you hungry, girl? Come, sit. I'm gonna write this off. This is charity. You're right. I'm gonna write this off. There are a group of men that's how I view. Like for me, there's sometimes I'm taking women out. Listen, it's on a business card, boo. Like, don't even worry about it. Like, I'm writing this meal off. We talk business in this conversation, right? I'm gonna write this off. So, in a way, for those men, it's nothing to lose in order to get what they're going for. There is a group of men like that. But see, the where these women trip themselves up is the man who's willing to play that game with you and go along with your little gotta take you to a fancy dinner and do all that stuff. He'll play it with you, but that man won't put a ring on your finger. This is when you start to get mad. Oh, the dating pool is shit. Why? Because that guy's been stringing you along for 8 years, playing along, and guess what he never does? He never commits to you, ever. You know why he doesn't commit to you? Because he doesn't think you're really a woman of substance. He's just been willing to use you and wear and tear your body for as long as you was willing to let him. And then eventually he moves on to the next one who's a higher premium version of you.
Right.
Younger and willing to play the same game. There's a younger woman coming right behind you willing to play the same exact game that you're playing. And that man knows that his money is just going to cyclically come back around. In the same way he can use you for that moment, use your body for that moment, he's going to go ahead and use the next woman for that same moment because he knows you didn't show up here with any good intentions. He just played along. That's another thing we got to add to this. A lot of men, it's not that they're suckers. They just like, look, sis, what's $100 mail to me? What's a $200 mail to me? Nothing. I would pay $200 to smash you.
Right.
If it costs $200, I would smash you for that.
And then on the long end, there are also those men out there who say, you know what? I'm gonna stick through this relationship because I like relationships. I like being with somebody.
Yeah. So that's another thing too. Is fellas, don't cross your wires.
Yeah, but the thing is, they stick through it. They stick through it because it makes them feel good. It makes them feel whole by having companionship because it gives them purpose, right? So therefore, they stick through it. But they're not. They already know to themselves that they're not gonna be in this the long term. They're waiting for the next thing to come along so they can get out of this one. And so therefore, they'll buy you a Gucci bag. Don't invest in that. They'll buy you the Louis, shoes. They'll invest in that. They'll invest in your trip together to some destination off in France. They'll invest in all of that. But you know what they won't invest in? Your future. They will not invest in your future. They will not do it because there is no future in your front. There's no future there. Facts. So they're gonna say, I can't make that. That's too big of an investment because I already know this is a short term. This is a short term investment.
Wow, that's going viral right there, bro. I promise you.
This is officially an algorithm investment with dividends that are short term.
I will not invest in your future. No, that's a fact. I mean, it's essentially the same thing I was just saying, right? It's a man who doesn't see much substance in you is not going to make that long-term investment in you. He'll make the short-term investment. And that's what I'm saying. This is the delusion of the women. Is they, because they're just coming in on just like, I'm just going to score big. I'm going to score this meal. I'm going to score this bag. I'm going to score this bill getting paid. It's short-term. And the more and more you do that, the more you condition yourself to be viewed as a woman who does that. And all these men are going to do is play along. Oh, yeah, they're playing along until they use you to the point where it's like, damn, now you somebody's baby mother. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just a tougher situation for you. You know what I mean? Because now there's no one who actually really loves you and cares enough to invest in you and cares enough to preserve you and protect you and treat you like you have always wanted to be treated. But because you was out here playing games, you reap what you sow. This is why the Bible, man, I tell you, you can never go wrong. The Bible says, be not deceived. Whatever man sows, that he shall reap. Pressed down, shaking together, and running over. Absolutely. Not only will what you put out there come back to you in folds, it will come back to you in a way where that's going to be what you reciprocate. That happens to be what gets reciprocated back to you. You know what I mean? So if you're coming into a relationship and you know you had no real intentions, you were planning on using that man, guess what's going to happen to you, sis? There's going to be plenty of men who are going to come to use you. They're going to come use you for as long as you're usable. And then when you're usable, your usefulness is complete, they will move on to the next situation.
Yeah, you're strictly a resource.
You're a resource at that point. And to me, it's like that ought to be shameful, because when you see these women 5-10 years down the line, realizing, damn, I'm getting older. I'm not married. All my friends got married. They have kids. You see the same women who's talking all that talk on TikTok, confused. Why aren't these men signing up for all of this? Sis, you got a whole track record of being a usable resource for men. And you think a man is going to score big by gaining you as his wife?
You mean you're trying to tell her she has a whole album? She put out a hit. She put out a few hits.
She's got a few hits. She got a catalog out there. You know what I'm saying? Of indecent behavior. So she's got a nice little reputation built up. And now the men get to go through it and say, well, let's examine your body count. Let's examine your reputation. Let's examine how you portrayed yourself. And then if it's a self-respecting man who's going somewhere, he has to understand that whoever he chooses to attach to his life plays a part of who he is and how he gets perceived. So if he's going to stand next to you as his woman and you used to be a former porn star, look at Joe Smith.
You know what I would like to do?
What's up?
I'd like to get in contact with all those girls and ask them, can you give me just a, rough estimate of how many times you've been fucked on?
They wouldn't tell you. They wouldn't tell you that. Honestly. Hell no.
Of course they're not going to, because it's probably a bunch.
Well, yeah.
Come on.
That body
they've been let down so many times. Come on, that's the only reason they're so irate about coffee.
Getting that. That's a fact. That's a fact. Listen, I'd like to end things on a positive note. Listen, ladies, we're having a little bit of fun with this, but you guys are human beings who deserve better. That's really the message that I want to leave y'all with at the end of the day.
Right.
I know a lot of times men talk about this, and a lot of times men talk about this with that energy of wanting to bash somebody. And I'm not going to assume that you guys know any better. I'm going to assume that maybe you were led astray, got the wrong advice, and now you're running on it for the sake of clickbait. You know what I mean? So for those women, and any women who considers thinking like this, right? Because any of these women could be, relative, a friend, a family. We do live in somewhat of a poisonous society where all sorts of messaging is getting passed along down the pipeline now. And so you could just be a victim of bad messaging, right? So as much as we're having fun with this, there is some things to be said that you are a human being and you can pivot and change your life. right, for the better, right? If you are one of the women who think that this is the best way to depict yourself and show yourself, I don't think, it is. And I would advise that you ladies really seek some counsel in terms of women who, who are successful at getting married and finding relationships and finding meaningful situations to be in. I would suggest that you get a mentorship of some sort, and just connect with a different group that's got more sound advice to give you, because I don't believe this is sound advice. And just as men, I think our opinions should matter a little bit on this, right? There are plenty of men who will play along with the games that you guys play to get you a meal. But at the end of the day, you will just be viewed as a utility for them, right? And in the end, none of them are going to want to put no ring on your finger, right? And if they do put a ring on your finger, a lot of times those relationships won't necessarily stand on the foundation that they need to stand on for it to work out, for it to be long term. And I just feel like sometimes we are just victims of bad messaging, victims of poor counsel or lack thereof. And that's what I would say, ladies, please try to take a different approach. Try to carry yourself in a way that is respectable. If the guy's not your type and you have no interest in him, a meal is not going to change that. You know what I mean? So walk away from it. Tell the guy outright, listen, I'm just not interested. I wouldn't even want to do that to you and lead you on to thinking that there's something that could happen here, because there isn't. I'm not interested. And I'll find another way to get a meal. You know what I mean? And God's going to honor you. He's going to bless you. But don't see a man as an opportunistic way of using him, because sometimes those men are crazy. They pay for that meal. They expect something to happen. Right. This is why women are getting their sometimes things are happening to these women, because these men are like, oh, no, you owe me something. This is transactional. So if I had my part of the deal and you didn't, you owe me. You're in debt to me. And these men could be crazed. Right. Don't even walk down that path. Don't even give anybody the opportunity to put you in that situation. So that's my final words. Renick, I'll leave the last word with you. What do you want to say? How you want to leave this off?
It's always simple for me, right? Ladies, take it from me. Forget about the coffee. Get what you like. And I'll tell you exactly what that is. And I'm going to tell the men, guys, take it from me. I specialize in this stuff, especially drinks. Instead of asking her to go and get coffee, let's go and have coffee martinis and small bites at the bar. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. Ladies love coffee martinis. Facts.
There you have it, from the horse's mouth. Look, this has been a great show. It's rather late right now here on the East Coast, but to everyone who stayed in and tuned in with us, we appreciate y'all. Definitely tune in for the next discussion. But to everyone, thank you for hanging out with us, and we just wish y'all all the best. God bless.